What's up, guys? Welcome back again to TCG Scripts podcast with Joey back.
Yep.
Welcome back, man. How was your trip? Was it fun?
It was great. Yeah, we already went over this in the.
Some people watch spoilers who don't watch a podcast. Some watch podcasts who don't watch spoilers.
They're missing out. Spoilers are awesome.
They actually really are. Something we'll talk about a little bit later. But
no,
maybe.
The Hawaii trip was really fun.
Awesome.
Did like snorkeling and stuff, and hiked on mountains, and did some a little bit of surfing, which is hard.
Nice. I imagine.
That's a...
But
do you feel like you're in shape now?
No, I think I lost like a couple pounds with like playing ultimate frisbee and like hiking and stuff. But
you probably lost more than that because you probably gained pounds in like muscle, so you probably like lost more than you think.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna get into like my personal life and how I like
how you're getting fit.
Well, no, I feel like I've been gaining like weight on my stomach, my tummy.
So this is all for the Joe podcast that he does on his own channel. You guys can check that out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to get
also,
into it. Okay.
Welcome to Colin, as usual, from Team ARG. Sure, that's still going.
I retweeted something today.
Nice.
Did you retweet the video we're going to talk about?
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, as usual, thank you to Happy Little Hug Factory for always being the sponsor for the many things we do here. You can visit their link in the description below. Maybe get your last minute pre-orders in right before the new set comes out. I'm sure you still have time for that. And then if not, they're just selling what box they do have left, I'm sure, after the fact. Just on release day, you'll get them. But I lost train of thought when I was saying that. But Happy Little Hug Factory in the link in the description below, so they do know that we sent you over.
And thanks a lot for everyone who uses that link when you go over. They've been doing really good on selling this new set, and that's thanks to you guys supporting the game and supporting them, small business and stuff, which is awesome. So just thanks to you guys, and by you going to that link also helps support us as well, and helps do different things on the channel, both from the affiliate link, but also stuff like when the new set comes out, we're able to do more cool box openings usually and stuff like that. So you clicking that link really supports just everyone all around, so thank you.
Yep, and to our Patreons over at patreon.com/TCGscrubs. You can go become patrons. Got some cool stuff coming up soon. I'll follow up with the artist. I haven't heard from her in about a week. See where that artwork's coming from. So we have cool stuff on the way. And we actually had 2 patrons just become mods on our Discord channel. So if you guys want to join us on Discord, you can come join the conversation there. It comes and goes.
And we'll be going back to our normal schedule for releasing Patreon video content now that the break is over and different things are over. We'll have our mini Patreon podcast obviously going up today already, and we'll have our other videos sprinkled throughout this week and so forth.
Yeah. So kind of jumping into things, we do have pre-release weekend coming up soon, which is exciting. I was thinking about recording kind of our trip to our pre-release over at our locals and kind of, maybe showing our pulls. We used to do that. We used to be able to do like kind of vlogs where we're like going to Mothership and opening our packs up on video and showing it off and then talking about how the day went, which I do kind of miss that.
Do it.
Yeah, we just don't have enough people to be like, oh, I fought Millie, or not Millie. I fought Arthur, and then I fought this other one, and then I fought Arthur again because there was only 3 of us, so I just fought him again. Not that there's usually more than 3. There's usually 4, but
well, and this is pre-release, so it won't necessarily be Arthur's. We're fighting other draft rules.
No, I'm talking about. You said we used to film locals, and we don't anymore just because our locals shrunk down due to various events throughout time and stuff. So
yeah,
we're open to maybe this pre-release event if people come in and show up and see what's going on. Can help launch the game again. We made cool little business cards to hand out to people who buy the product, because I'm sure I've heard this story from other people before of like people buy the product, locals, like our locals sells Force Will product like no tomorrow, but those people don't show up, so I'm not sure what the barrier is from them. I mean, obviously some people just buy product, but not everyone does. So I created little cards that say, hey, here's when pre-release is, here's when we normally meet up, here's the link to our Discord and to our Facebook for our locals, and it's a little business card that I asked our local shop to hand out to people whenever they buy Force Will product. So that's a cool idea. If any of you guys are trying to look for things, I think that's a really good idea to do, because it's a passive way. You don't have to be going and knocking on doors and stuff. You're just like, hey, hand this out when you hand out product, and even if it only gets you 1 or 2 people, that's in Force Will, that's a lot.
Yeah. I think it's working already. We did have some people join our Facebook group and show interest from like surrounding cities.
I feel like a lot of people don't have access to like business cards though in a printing company that are printing like
you have access to an office. Go to Office Depot, ask for their same day business cards. They're like $3. I'm pretty sure. It's cheap. It's pretty cheap for black and white same day business cards. They're not pretty, but
yeah, they're like this
they come back $30. Yeah, they're calling it like $30, not $3.
Well, ask for the price before you order. They'll be like, what do, and they're gonna be like, oh, your total is like, no, don't tell me the total. Colin already told me the total. I know what it is.
Here's my $3.
He said he's pretty sure it's $3, and they're like, actually, sir, it's like, no. He told me.
Don't. I got TCG Scrubs Colin sent me. Give me your special pricing.
And then they'll be like, oh, TCG Scrubs, why did you say so? Yeah, that's the $3 pricing for you.
To be fair though, I mean, I guess you could probably like make your own business cards, like cut them up like manually and stuff.
Anything works.
I don't know if that, but then people are like, ooh, I don't know if I'm gonna go there. I don't like I saw something for someone's like, hey, I need some people. It was a little sentence like, hey, I need people to come play test this card game I'm making, or something like that. But it was like handwritten with different color Sharpie for some of the words, and it wasn't well handwritten. Like it's not someone whose forte is to handwrite stuff. And I was like, ooh, I don't want to go look at that. That doesn't sound nice.
But anyways, pre-release coming up. Super excited about it. Trailed pretty hard on that.
First tangent done.
We'll record it, and then if you don't see anything, obviously something happened. Either we forgot to, or it just didn't fire off. But I have a feeling it's going to fire off. We have enough people in Austin who like pre-releases, just don't like showing up for tournaments for some reason, who should be playing. And then on top of that, we'll have Joey's primer video, which is up on Thursday. So that way, those of you around the world who have y'all's pre-releases on like U.S. time Friday morning and all that, because they start like Australia onwards, and you kind of have something to listen to before you go to your pre-releases. And then we'll have the overview of all spoilers. Will be Tuesday night, which is when this comes out Tuesday morning, and you'll see it Tuesday evening.
All remaining spoilers.
All remaining spoilers will be up on the database. You guys can go check it out on the official Force World website, and then shortly after it'll be on the fan-made database, the Alta Vista one. But we'll go over all the missing cards we haven't seen yet, because it looks like we had a hunch on it back on when we were doing spoilers that the way Jeff phrased it, there wouldn't be any on Sunday night or Monday night, and that they would drop them all on Tuesday night. So looks like that's what's happening. So there's no spoiler videos anymore until that one. Which those are fun. Those are always fun to do, but it is a lot of them to have to worry about doing.
Yeah.
And then,
are you going to be here for the Patreon mini podcast, Oscar?
We'll see how long this takes here.
Okay.
And if we dilly-dally.
Debating a subject to bring up, but I'll wait. We'll see how we are at the end.
Okay.
All right.
But, let's see. Spoilers, Joey's video, pre-release. Yeah, I think that's about it. So we're going to talk about some cool stuff that's appeared, right? Like a little video from somebody named Alpha Investments, Rudy over there.
Well, that's his name, but...
Came out Sunday morning. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'm sure some of you are aware of him by now. He's done some hype leading up to this. He's the one who has the Patreon where he was doing those cool bundles of old stuff, trying to help get more older product out. But yeah, so he had a video kind of going over an interview he had with Jeff Finnigan, our global liaison, asking him some questions that he found to be important. And you can see the paper in his hand. There are some pretty lengthy questions and quite a few of them. He only got to, I feel like, a chunk of them, because it's like he did one video now, he's going to do a part 2 later, which I'm really interested because he leads it off with saying, oh, we'll ask him why we don't get, he points at one of the clamshell boxes, those hard top ones. Yeah. Why we're not getting those anymore and why we're getting the flimsy ones, which Jeff has said the printer just can't do those, but we'll see what Jeff tells him or how he words it.
Yeah, it could be like some tidbits of info that we haven't been able to get. So it'd be nice to know. It's because it's one of those things like, yeah, the printer doesn't do it, but I feel like that's something when you're looking for printers, you should have a checklist of stuff you're looking for. Unless the printer comes up as like, but we'll do this for 10% of what you're paying now. Then you're like, okay, screw that old box.
I think that's definitely what happened with their checklist.
But at least the card quality is up there, you know. And yeah, we don't get the cool boxes, but the card quality is up there. Also, I didn't realize how much those boxes are useful. Only because I use some. You can see some behind me, the newer ones on my shelf for storing cards. And if you look behind Colin, which he's like, oh yeah, Oscar, I'll put all this up on Sunday. Still hasn't put it up yet.
I sat with Sunday.
Yeah, only for like less than 3 hours. I sat with Colin for about, let's see, we got home at what, 9?
No, this is what I was asking about for a Patreon mini podcast.
Oh,
I thought we could talk about, yeah.
All right, listen, I'll give you the short version of it. When we were sorting his cards, I was like, yeah, I really wish we had some more of those boxes because Colin could really use it right now for some of the stuff he needs.
Oh, the booster. Those are so, like, right now, I think I only have one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I have another somewhere. I don't know where it went. Because someone was giving away one of the boxes, so I was like, oh, I'll take that. But right now, I just use it to store all of my mismatched sleeves for, like, putting stuff in binders and all that. They fit almost perfect. There's a little bit too many sleeves for it, but I've made them fit in there. But they're great for, like, just storing random stuff. And if you had enough of them, it'd be cool to, because right now, like, you know, you have a long box that's sort of like, hey, this is Lapis Cluster box, and inside Lapis Cluster, technically we sorted it by each set, and then by color and stuff like that. It'd be cool to sort them by color and set, and then have one set in each one of those booster boxes, because for the most part they'll fit inside of one of those, and then you just label the box, hey, this is Twilight Wanderer cards, sorted by color and so forth. And so whenever you want to grab a set, you just go and grab one of these storage boxes Force Will made, and that would be cool. But
you know, it would be cool too, and I've seen Magic do it in the past. I don't know if they still kept up with this. Some people who maybe follow the game more can let us know in the comments, but I remember seeing it. They had, you know, like the white boxes behind Colin. They had the custom ones printed, you know, with some cool like Magic characters on them and whatnot. Like that'd be cool to see some of those in Force of Will. That'd be awesome to store that. Keep those kind of boxes in store. Like if they could find a printer who actually that's what they specialize is printing boxes. Be like, how much for this? And it's like, oh, here's how much. It's like, wow, it's like Colin said 10% of what we were paying. So to where it bounces out, but
yeah.
So what else did he talk about, Joey? I know you had notes. I was supposed to take notes and I forgot.
Yeah, so let's go in order from beginning to end of the video.
I mean, I just jotted down some stuff that I thought was really interesting. Rudy was talking about Rudy was talking to Jeff about, I guess these are Jeff's answers, huh?
Yeah.
About what the issue with like MOA was and like printing out overpowered cards and stuff like that. And Jeff had pointed out that like the way a lot of card games print in Japan is that they continually like ramp the power level of cards up and stuff. And so I think that's like I remember when we heard from Jeff that one of the designs, one of the reasons they made Sherry so strong was because they wanted like one archetype that everybody else had to like fight against or whatever.
Because that's kind of the way Japan likes to play.
Right, exactly. And so I thought that like it was interesting that's kind of what happened with what it sounds like had happened with like Regalia and stuff. Like they just kept ramping the power levels up, and like the standard card game like TCGs in Japan are also like they like to play big, you know, they like to make big flashy plays and have everything like really really powerful. So I really like keyed in on that and thought that was like super interesting, and that's probably why we got.
I thought that was interesting too. Sorry, I'm gonna jump in real quick because I'll forget, but somebody brought it up that it was posted in Burbank, which is a Pokemon trading card group, their biggest one. That somebody saw the video and then went into that group talking about the video for that specific point, because Pokemon is designed in Japan and then translated to English and then distributed, and then that's how they get their cards. Nobody in the U.S. is, I think, actually making the cards, unless a couple people like working with the R&D team to help tweak things. I don't know, but like we had Lissandre's Trump card, which is one of the examples that they brought up in their post. Like that was a very strong card that like gave only a few decks a chance to really be the top, and so it just shows the mentality just goes across different card games.
Yeah, and I was curious. Sorry. I was curious, and Rudy asked too if people knew of other Japanese card games that like do the same thing. Like I don't know if Pokemon is like a solid of an example. Like I think Yu-Gi-Oh is definitely a great example of just insane like one turn kills and like cards like that. So.
Oh yeah. Well, see, I was going to say though, in regards to the power level and stuff, I feel like Force of Will, at least in a couple instances, even if you're going by that reasoning, still went overboard, even probably by their standards, especially when you have something like Prisha that was ending entire games in under like 20 minutes. You don't want that regardless of what your power level is at any game. I know Yu-Gi-Oh is probably at that perpetually, but
Yeah.
having games end that quickly is not fun for either player. And especially with Prussia, like specifically, Prussia was literally just like identical combos and just waiting for like, okay, have this card and do, I win.
Well, yeah,
and it was the exact same thing. There's nothing fun about getting off big combos or big plays if it's the exact same thing over and over and over again for every single person.
Like from what Jeff was saying, that's your opinion, and the
I'm saying from the Japanese perspective, guys. I know what he's saying because this is a point he brought up a long time ago as well.
Right, and so that is what the people in the Japanese card games want to do.
No, I think they want Sherry.
Huh?
I think they want Sherry. Sherry is an example of a very powerful card, but the way it plays, games still last long enough, and because when you're playing another Sherry and it counters stuff Sherry does, you can't do the exact same combo over and over and over and over again. It's not like Prussia. I'm giving an example of Prussia specifically as an example of that didn't work on any facet. I don't think.
I think that's exactly from what it sounded from what's Jeff's response. I thought that's exactly what they wanted. Is that they wanted really strong OP cards that they played out and just like did really flashy stuff, and that's exactly what Prussia did. Well, so I don't know whether or not they went too far with Prussia. I think that if I had to look at this and look at like Reflector Frame, Prussia, and Sherry, it's like I feel like those are probably why, and like Fox and that kind of stuff. Like that's why we saw so many like high powered stuff.
Well, that's why I'm pointing out Prussia specifically on the reasoning of like big, strong, flashy stuff. Like Fox still works in this. All those cards, Reflector Frames, Sherry, and all that work fine because they still allow counterplay. It's not Prussia where it's, hey, who gets the combo off first, you win. There's still counterplay in all those other decks, and you can do different things, and they still have the big power plays. I'm just talking about Prussia specifically. I think doesn't fit into that mold even by that standard because of how it worked as a deck of like it went quick, did the exact same combo. If you win a mirror match, it's just whoever got the combo off first wins by default, and that's about it. Whereas Fox and Prussia and Reflector Frame were not necessarily that. I feel like I'm missing out on a ruler.
There was one thing, unless I misinterpreted or misheard, that I felt like contradicted with what Jeff said, and it was on this subject. And it was because the question before this was talking about something in MOA and bad cards and how Japanese players like taking bad cards to locals, and it follows it up with this question, which said, Japanese designers like to make these strong cards because Japanese players like strong decks. So it's like, well, which one is there? Are they making these bad decks with bad cards or strong cards with strong decks
so
with
the way
cards?
I didn't catch that.
The way I saw it and the way I interpret it is that they like to design little tiny expansion sets that are kind of self-contained. So like that's what Vingolf 2 was supposed to be, is this little self-contained low power, like you only make cards from Vingolf 2 and you only play cards with like in this set, and that's all. I don't know if that's exactly what MOA was supposed to do, but like that was supposed to be a little mini set that wasn't even supposed to be it wasn't supposed to have anything in it. It wasn't supposed to be a good set. It was just like a little.
Here's one question I'll bring up to that on that is like, then why was it still a full price box if it wasn't meant to be that?
Are you talking about MOA?
Yeah. MOA.
That was my question because I was actually curious about that. If it's meant to be mini set, for example, Cast Chronicles did that. They came out with a mini set and it was like half the price of a normal booster box. Pokemon does that. They don't have booster boxes per se. They have these other things, but when you come with that, it's so either they did that but got greedy and wanted the full price, or something we've never been told before, which is a possibility, is they did do the cheap price, but it comes down to what Jeff was trying to reiterate, which was bad communication. They didn't communicate to distributors that it wasn't a full set, so distributors sold it to everyone else at full price, thinking like, oh man, we're going to make bank off of this. For some reason, Force of Will is selling it super cheap to us. So it could be either one of those. I'd be curious to know, because when they moved on from MOA, and I was like, oh, I wanted to know why it was still full price if it's considered a mini set, because I had that same question.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they thought it was like a mini set in power, but they still wanted it to be a full price set. I mean, they might not have seen a difference. I don't know.
Let's see. Also, I had a quick question on Joey. You left us when Fox was the main play, and you played Fox, and you've gone through every one like that. Like, you played Reflect when Reflect was the thing to play. You played Fox when Fox was the thing to play. A question, if you stayed with us and had continued playing Force of Will, would you have played Prisha when she came out?
I wanted to play Prisha when she came out. I was like right in the middle.
He's that guy at your locals, guys.
No. Well, the thing was, I didn't think like I have this like love-hate of super OP decks where like I want to, like I wanted to play them, but then if they get too popular, I'm like Colin where I'm like, I don't want to play that oh, I really like Keurig. I won't play Keurig anymore. So that's something that I like, that kind of I don't know. Like the reason I wanted to play Reflect Refrain was because of his like control aspect, and I like playing that kind of deck.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to play him because he's OP. The same reason with like Fox. I actually, after playing a little bit of Fox and seeing him get like super OP, I was like, I don't really want to like, I don't really like playing Fox anymore. I probably would have still played Prisha for a little bit. I just wouldn't have played the same OP like Prisha.
Well, I feel like, I was going to say, I feel like if you played the OP version, you'd probably get bored with it, because like I said, it's literally just the exact same combo each time for the most part, which is pretty boring.
Well, that's exactly what like Zero Bomb was.
And then you have, if the combo doesn't go off, then you just roll into Mariabelle.
That was kind of like, there's a unique part that you're not looking at Prisha, and there wasn't just one version. It was like a one-turn kill version. There was several versions. There was a Spinning Myths version. And that
I'm talking about during
cool in its own way.
During the height of it, when Levantine was out, is what's in my head as far as like, I'm talking about when the deck was the most powerful. After Levantine rotated and stuff like that, that's when it branched out into these other decks, and you had this variety that were still all the strongest deck. But before that, there wasn't really a combo that I could think of that's faster than and better than the Prisha just flip over with Levantine, swing at your face, and just do that over and over and over again, because Levantine gives you imperishable.
But I probably would have. It depends on when she got popularity. Like I see. When I came in with a Gil or with Fair, like I played Fair, and then I like made like a Fair list, and I was playing with him a decent amount, and then he started getting popular, and I started playing him less and less. So like it just depends on when he when he comes in, and like I have that Colin-itis where if it's a popular deck, I don't want to play it anymore.
Well, yeah, I have that too, but I'm getting over it, because if you remember, back when we were first doing spoilers, I think I was more hyped on Pandas than he was, until he got so into it. And I was like, yeah, you know what, just take it. And so I'm actually just getting over it, 'cause I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm going to build a machine deck, because a lot of these cards we're seeing for machines look pretty cool.
Machines are super fun. I really like them so far. I'm pretty excited for this set support.
But back to the video itself, what was another point that you had written down?
I thought it was super interesting when he talked about how open the lines of dialogue is between Jeff and like him, and then like Jeff and everybody. And that's something that like he was like lauding as like super amazing, that that Jeff is as the global liaison is coming out and like talking it over with Rudy and stuff, and like that's something we've already seen. Like we've had Jeff on our podcast like 2 times now. And so it's like, are you guys like thinking of?
Well, no, I was waiting for you to finish talking. I would say this is a really good point, and I'm gonna let Colin take over for a comment he had in on the video, where I commented with the channel's account, and I said, "Hey, great to see this video, Rudy. Open communication with the company is always great." Something along the lines of that. In which somebody had responded saying, like, "What? No, you don't know it. He's not telling the truth," or something. Anyways, what did he say exactly?
I can pull it up.
It was something like
I can pull it up here.
Tell us what he.
While he's pulling it up, it was kind of a back and forth between this guy, Colin, and some other people joined in, saying like, "No, you guys have like the wool pulled before your eyes. Like he's not telling." All right,
so you had said that, and he said, "Open communication, LOL. Do you really think you'll get the truth from a corporate goon? If he told you the truth, he'd be fired. Lol, bah goes the sheep."
And I'm like, first of all, before even Colin replied to it, I was like, "What? Yeah, it's Jeff. Jeff's like super truthful. Like, not always praising the company. If there's something wrong with it, he says it too. He'll come out with it."
He said it in the video, Rudy's video.
Yeah, like this guy's dumb. And anyways, him, Vaughn, responded to each other, and then some other people joined in, kind of defending the fact that Jeff does tell the truth.
Well, and real quick, big shout out to Jeff for. I assume I had messaged Jeff. He hadn't replied yet, but I was like, saying that same thing, good job and stuff. And I said, I assume this was your idea because this doesn't sound like something the company would have been like, hey, go reach out to Alpha Investments. So I assume this was Jeff's idea, but it's a really good idea, super smart, and like it's already at 11,000 views in
really?
one day. Well, not even a full 24 hours. It's at 11,000 views.
11,000?
Yeah, and that's a surprise too, because usually anything not Magic related has super low views. Like I'm sure it's nowhere compared to the Magic videos if you look at those views, but still, it's still a lot for one day.
I swear, I watched it like
not even
an hour ago, and it's at like 7,000 views.
Yeah, and it's got only 18 dislikes on it, so like people like the video too. So it's super smart. It not only does it do the thing that we keep saying, which is it's basically like advertising, get the name out there, but it also it gets the name out to Magic players and stuff like that. It's not just like Force of Will players who will be seeing this, and it adds this transparency level, which is good on top of that. So if you're already playing Force of Will, this video is still good and applicable and great for you. It sounds like it was just a typing conversation between Rudy and Jeff was just honest, and that's all it took, and now you have this video that's advertising it. So I thought that was super awesome. But it was cool that people came because that guy commented, and then I replied on my personal account, basically saying, no, Jeff is cool, and that guy wasn't having it, so he replied to that, and I just ignored him from that point. But Jason Hall and a couple other people jumped in on him, and
and honestly, looking at it, anybody watching, so there's no point in going in there and replying anything, because it's just like those type of people, you just can't convince them.
If you look at his replies, he doesn't care what anyone says.
But Jeff is like super down to earth. We end up like chatting with him like for an hour after before and after the podcast. Like he's really down to earth. He's really good at communicating. His the everything they're wanting to do. Mm-hmm. I think he's a great person, and it's really good that we're getting this this ability to talk with him and have an open line of dialogue and stuff, which is really cool.
Jeff's listening to the podcast oh guys. So we'll move on. What's another
I'm curious real quick. I was looking at the recommended, and his normal videos that aren't his big videos on Rudy's channel is average between, looks like 40 and 50K is the average for a normal video that isn't 1 or 200,000 views. So I'm curious if this will get at all close to that 40K mark. I don't know if it will, but that's a good spectrum to look at. His average videos are 40 to 50K for Magic the Gathering.
I think that a good point of I guess you say advertisement, or people are talking about it, was the Verbank post, because I'm sure now a handful of Pokemon players are like, oh, this has Japanese the way they think on making our card games. Let me go watch the video real quick, and that's going to cause other people to watch it. But
speaking of, real quick before I forget, or before we move on to Joey's next point, because Joey had mentioned Vingolf too. I wish they had addressed that more, because Jeff had said, oh, it's the same thing as MOA, miscommunication and stuff like that. But unlike MOA, Vingolf 2 was priced at what it should have technically be priced at. So there was other factors, I think, that led to its being down. Now it's at $12, and I would have liked to see some of that addressed as well, one of them being the art on the cards, make it so none of the cards are worth collecting at all, at all. They're just absolutely terrible art. So I wish that would have been addressed real quick, of hey, the cards weren't good, none of them were playable outside of Vingolf 2 for the most part. And also, there was no collection reason, and I think that's the big thing, because if you're going to make a set like Vingolf 2, that's, hey, we're on it, it's for people who just want to do self-contained or, low power level or whatever it is, you should go the extra mile on the art and stuff like that to make sure that people who, it sells well for people who want to collect the cards and stuff like that, repeat buy and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Something I thought was cool when I first started getting into Force of Will and learning about it. And let me just say real quick, I'm glad we don't have borders. But when I first jumped in, is when MOA had already been out for a while, and I remember seeing that they had orange borders on cards, or at least rainbow kind of orange-green cards, and then some with gray borders. I remember somebody saying that there was this thing where it's like, yeah, the orange ones are in the past, the gray ones are the current day. I thought it was a cool concept thinking about MOA having that, but again, don't take that any wrong way. I'm glad we don't have borders on cards. It's nice, right?
Yeah, I hate like Pokemon was the worst.
The only reason I found that out is because I think it's one of the first posts I may have made, either piggybacking off somebody else's post or making my own, was like, do these borders actually mean anything? Because coming from Pokemon, different colored borders meant different things. Because he had gray ones, which meant it couldn't even be played because those were from like World Championship decks or something like that. Things, different things.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Your next point, Joey.
He talked about basically what they send out distributors wise. He said it's when Rudy asked like how tight was their print line, I guess their print run, and Jeff said something like they take the pre-orders of all the stores and then they add like a sales percentage that their sales team kind of works out, and then that's what they end up printing. And then I think he also said the only way they'll do a second print run, which the only set they've done a second print run on, I think for a while, I don't remember how far back it goes, was Time Spinning Witch, and that was also because of the ruler mishap. But Jeff was saying that like the way I took it, enough shops have to make a request to a distributor, and then so enough shops have to make a request to the distributors, and then the distributors like have to pass that on to Forceful, and then Forceful is actually really good about, they would be really good about doing another print run, but from what it sounds like they haven't gotten that is what I kind of took from that. But but it was saying that shops have to make a request to the distributors, and then the distributors need to pass that on. And then on top of that, he was talking about an MOQ, which I Googled, and it's a minimum order quantity to make the set profitable. So the way I took that is, even if there was demand, if it didn't meet this MOQ, and Jeff can like correct me whether I'm like, or I took that wrong or I got the wrong thing from that. But basically you need enough shops to make that request, then it also has to meet that MOQ, and then it'll be
so if you have like 30 stores and they each want 10 boxes, so they want 300 boxes, you're like, okay, let's print 300, but the MOQ is 400. So even though there's 300 requests, which seems like a lot, I'm just throwing out numbers just so you guys know, because it didn't meet that MOQ of 400, they're just not going to do it, because it, like, say, costs X amount of money and they make X amount of money. If they print anything less than 400, then their printer charges them 20% more per box, because they have to fire up all these machines and all this stuff, and they're printing less and stuff like that.
Again, all that stuff.
Yeah,
and that's the way I took it from what, and again, this is like, I'm kind of like, this was Rudy reading off Jeff's response, and then like me trying to parse that into like a little notes. So I'm hoping I got that right. And
it sounds right.
That's
it's unfortunate, because I know a lot of people, and I've seen the posts showing up a lot more recently on social media, people who need those boxes and how they have new players who want to come into the game, but none of them can, because there is they can't get the new rulers.
Especially
for the starter
sets. Like that's the main.
That's the biggest deal
from what I'm hearing.
But and it's bigger than just the rulers, because I know like a response is that, oh well, we have the VIP rewards, hand out the rewards, you have their extra. It's like the runes. There's runes and master runes that are exclusive to those decks. There's also cards that came out in those sets that are exclusive to those. Some of them might even be good. Like, was it Sandworm? Sandworm might be a card that a red deck needs to run at some point. So it's just like that. It sucks. Like, I know that they only need a certain number, and I'm not arguing that point. I was arguing the point is like, our shops, are we bothering our shops enough? Like, are they actually communicating to the distributors? Or are they just saying, oh, they don't have any, and that's all they're leaving it at. They're not asking for distributors for more, or how that all works.
And I mean, even if they're like their shops are making the request to the distributors, still seems like the distributors need to make that request to Force of Will, because maybe the distributors have a certain MOQ where they won't actually ask Force of Will for more. Like it could just be a lot of really difficult politics stuff where the distributors will only take like 400 or 500, as like their MOQ or something. So
it'd be cool is as a way to help, especially build up the game right now. Until because it sounds like, well, we still don't know for sure, but somewhere along the line, someone is being dumb as far as the starter decks and getting those out. Whether it's local stores are being dumb and not putting correctly the request into the distributor, or distributors being dumb and not putting the request to the Force of Will. Force of Will was dumb and didn't calculate how to do that correctly ahead of time. We don't know, but it'd be cool if they did this with the star decks and also booster boxes, where they fill out the pre-orders plus whatever that sales percentage is to send out to distributors, and then Force of Will prints X amount percentage of it, and they keep that for themselves in a storage or something like that. And after everything's run its course for the first couple months or whatever, then stores can be like, all right, my distributor's completely out and they won't order more. They can reach out to Force of Will directly to have X amount of boxes sent to them or something like that. And it wouldn't be the most efficient or cost-saving process, but it would be a great way to not only build up the game to make sure that product is out there in the hands of new players, but a great way of building a really tight-knit trust network between the... So now you have stores who are like, you know what? This company is working directly with me. I'm not going to drop this product on principle at this point. You create a tight knit network like that.
It would be cool.
Something like they're doing with the promos right now. They have the system in place with locals now, so all you have to do is throw booster boxes into the mix. Not a lot, but just a couple here and there when stores absolutely need them.
Real quick, that feels different. I just want to say real quick is that I was actually talking to Con about this earlier today, or yesterday. It was yesterday, I think. How where we are now, the starter decks, is where we were with Vingolf 3. And I'm just wondering how much longer till all the monthly promos we're getting end up being starter deck cards. Runes and key cards. I'm just gonna throw Sandworm out again because it's on my head, but Sandworm all of a sudden becomes a promo, and that becomes the promos for the remainder of the year.
See, the problem with that though is one, there's no way they can do it fast enough. So if we're in a situation where teaching decks are literally, or not teaching, starter decks are literally not around, cards start going up in price. If they start, I don't know if they would or not, but if they got close to Vingolf 3 pricing, in this video, Jeff said he doesn't want to ever have a $20 card or expensive cards. You don't want to spend a bunch of money to build a deck. That you're going to have to. If star decks, that's worse than the Vingolf decks, because star decks have the rulers you need to physically play the game, especially post rotation. And so you have that combined with things like you said, Sandworm, the Master Runes, a couple of the regular runes, and some of the regular cards, especially machines. You can't run a machine deck straight up without the star deck. It's just not possible. And so they physically couldn't print promos fast enough. It's not like Vingolf where it's like, okay, Abdul is big, here's the Abdul promo. Okay, this other card's big, here's the that promo and stuff like that. We need all these cards at once. So the only way around it, if for some reason they can't get those starter decks back in the hands of people, is to rush out and do a Vingolf style thing where it's a box with all the necessary star deck cards plus some other stuff, and sell that to really cheap for everyone through the distributors as a workaround or something.
Yeah. Something else I found really interesting is that at the end of the video, Rudy, I think he had finished 3 out of 10 questions, and I believe he was going to start talking more about distributors in
I think he did 5
in former videos. I feel like it was 3, but
he said halfway mark. But yeah.
Anyways, so I think it's interesting that we might get more information later about what how their distributors work, more the nitty gritty. Because he was asking some really good questions that I thought were really really cool. So especially knowing what kind of questions to ask Jeff and getting the right answers is
I'd be
important.
super curious on Rudy's thoughts on specifically the promo distribution, because it's really nice for locals, the direct thing of avoiding the distributor, so it's way better for promos. However, someone like him which I think he has a brick and mortar now, but like he knows the side of not having a brick and mortar, straight up wouldn't be able to get promos and stuff like that. I'd be curious his overall thoughts on the promo system now.
So he mentioned something in the video. I also want to bring this up because I remember this part now. And he's talking about how there's not Ubers in the set. He does mention how there's not Ubers in the set. But that there's how they've been testing with the rarity of SR cards, and how he told us in Q&A he was going to go visit the printer, and at the point of this video, he's already visited the printer. Mm-hmm. And just say one thing real quick. I thought it was so cool that a print center has an R&D team. I've worked in print centers my entire life, guys. My entire life. And, like, to be in an R&D team for a print center, that sounds so cool. Be like,
that
all right,
does
Oscar,
sound
what'd
cool.
you do? I was like, printing on some laminated sheets. Look at this, what I got. I don't know. All that's all cool stuff. But anyway,
I wonder what that consists of. Is it R&D like, all right, we mix these two chemicals and blah, 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 it's animated, or is it like, I'm gonna put this laminate right here and put a cardboard and then 3 laminate on top and then stamp and like, oh, that looks pretty cool. R&D team, look at this, pretty cool. Yeah. I'd be curious to know like what that is. But yeah, no, he said that. I was like,
or visiting really conventions from other print companies that make the printers themselves to show you the new things they can do. Like we found out on our printers, there's printers with clear ink now. Laser printers with clear ink that we could get. It's probably what Force of Will uses in the back of the cards is clear ink. It's also clear ink on textured foil cards for both Pokemon and Force of Will.
It's funny because I went to that convention and it had the different companies for printers and stuff, and went to the show floor and it had them out there. And like, yeah, looking at that, one of them had a cardboard thing, and it was this nice gloss, and it was demonstrating clear ink with the raised ridges and stuff and different patterns. And I was like, oh, okay, this is literally texturing on cards, but they could do it in just to us, a normal sized printer. Like, if we had this printer where Oscar and I worked, we could literally print texture for our cards.
I'll have it on screen right now, and I'm going to make a note of the time that we're recording it so I can throw that picture up. But to give you an idea of the printers we work with, it's pretty much if you go to a Office print center store, like Office, Max, Depot, Kinko's.
It's like that times printers, 2.
Yeah.
They're like 3 times that size for like most average.
Well, I guess now, yeah.
But anyways,
the ones you have now are really impressive.
We like printing stuff sometimes.
Yeah. But to the point of it is that they're working with different materials, and they're trying to see what they can bring to us, which is cool. On the subject was interesting, saying how Magic has, what is it called? Where they won't print the cards out, and they promise they won't print them. He named it.
The reserve list?
Reserve list. How he doesn't like it, but then he also thinks it's, a good idea?
They could make it work, yeah.
The way I heard it is that, hold on, Rudy was saying it's just not a good idea, or Jeff?
Jeff said it. Rudy is
I think
words.
Jeff was saying, the way I heard it is he was okay with printing stuff on the reserve list if they're printing them in like uber rare kind of deals, or like secret rares, or like
I heard it the other way. I thought he was trying to avoid, like, he used Cheshire Cat as an example, how they would never reprint the booty version of it. They'd reprint the standard version, such as how they did with My Rewards type of thing. So that they retain that value from Wanderer, but then make it to where it's still affordable. Because like if all of a sudden the normal non-full art Cheshire is like over $2,000, whatever you want to say. I think right now it's like $7 range. Then that's when they would reprint it, and all of a sudden it's more available. I mean, luckily we got them through My Rewards, so it's not even an issue anymore. But other cards like that, which I also found interesting, because it means like there's interest in reprinting some older cards. Is that
right.
The correct way to interpret that? Like,
maybe
it could be. Cool. Which, by the way, we're coming up to February, which I believe is when we got the Cheshire Cat. I wonder for My Power, whatever it was called, reward thing. I wonder if they'll do that again, or if that was just a one-off. It'd be super cool if they did that again.
Like, I expected it would be a one-off, but it would be completely surprising cool if they did it again. But
yeah, I'm not expecting it, but just this is February's around when it was, so I'm curious if that would be a theme.
Yeah. As far as your point though, Oscar, to be fair, I didn't know what the actual reserve list meant, and I don't know what it was. So I was kind of like, wait, what is he talking about? Are they talking about like the restricted list and bans and stuff? So I wasn't really on top of that part. So
okay,
the way you interpret it is probably right.
Though I was going back to what Oscar was talking about, I did get pretty excited when he was like, oh no, I went there and I was talking to the R&D team, and they're showing me all the different things they could do with cards, and he was like, there's pretty cool stuff, and I was like, ooh, I'm trying to like think in my head because like I was going to say we do a lot of print stuff. I was like, what would like we have Ubers and we have the Fort texture. We have the gold Ubers. We have acrylic. We have gold, silver, and bronze and stuff like that. What the heck else is there? There's like maybe like what we thought the cards were at one point. That sort of you move it around. It's got that 3D effect. Maybe there's that. There's I was trying to think in my head of some of the stuff that once again when I was at that printer convention thing of what some of the stuff they showed off was. And there's stuff like obviously there's AR stuff. Where you put it over and it becomes animated. I don't know about that. I don't know if I would like that, but
that sounds.
There's. Fun. I was trying to think of what stuff, but I was thinking about. I was like, man, I guess if they came out with something really cool, I'd be okay with them not do. Which also like, oh, look at all this cool shit we can do. Can't make it black and white though. Ooh, dude, that's past our limit. I just find that kind of silly. But
can I also just say that I love how great it is that like. Force World got feedback that they had bad cards and the printing company was bad that they switched to, and then they switched back, and Jeff is actually going there to like lock down, or what it sounds like lock down what our secret rares and like what our Ubers are going to be, because we're not going to get them anymore. So I think it's good that they're already doing this stuff, and Jeff's they're already kind of in my opinion they're ahead of the ball game a little bit.
And I hope it's. And I hope I mean, obviously he'll follow through, but like, we are hearing Jeff probably right after he's been there. So like right after I was at the convention, like I was there with our manager and it's like, man, there's a lot of cool stuff. I wonder what we'll be able to do. And now we're just like, we didn't do anything with any of the stuff. We didn't buy anything new or we're not planning on it probably and stuff. It's just that sort of starry-eyed, I was at Comic-Con and I'm so excited for Justice League. It's going to be the best movie ever. And stuff, but I'm hoping
Jeff doesn't bring it back and then
to the company
just like shuts it down.
He needs to like get the company infected with that same enthusiasm that he might have at that point in time, and the company needs to act like right away before they're like but that's 10 cents high. That's 2 cents more per card than we're used to paying for this high rarity, which can add up really freaking fast. 10 cents a card, that would probably break them.
Also, what did he mean? I'm sorry, I don't know if that's cutting off what you're thinking, but it hit my mind.
No, go ahead.
What did he mean exactly when he says we're not afraid to print memes?
He said no. I think I could be wrong. I think he's just talking about a combination of like maybe stuff like Leaf Guardian or whatever, the one that's like water with the stick on it, like maybe a combination of that combined with like random stuff like the pig card that the flavor text is just oink oink and okay like how pigs were a big thing or pandas. That's what I took that as, like cards that are like naturally become a meme over time because it's like I'm running a panda deck is kind of meme-ish, I guess, at this point. But that's what I assume. If he meant like, actually, the main thing I thought of when he said that was when they printed like the band girls as secret rares, and then the husband dudes and stuff. Like, that's the main thing I thought of. If he means something else, and we haven't seen it yet, then like,
I was just trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
I was, like,
the way
I
saw it was like the first way Colin saw it, where like they're just little like in jokes and like jokes on the actual card, but also for promos and just for promos only, they might be printing more like meme cards, I guess is how I heard part of that. Like,
it made sense when Colin said the husbandos and the band goes. Like that was super.
And it's not going to be actual memes, but like
I want more of the. It sucks that they printed them as crappy cards, so they couldn't actually hold value. But I want more of those. Which, real quick, I want to say before I forget, because I looked it up because I was curious. Those super rare cards that were the secret rares have retained their value. The cheapest one is Karua at $40. Ophiel is $74. I'm looking at TCG Player, and Anubis is $65. So I was honestly I thought they were all going to drop to like the $20 mark or something like that. But I guess how rare they ended up being.
Well, yeah,
I think that's
we had people in our Discord reporting back they got cases and got nothing out of it, you know?
Yeah, Look of Corruption 4 is $22. Life Severing Blades for it is $15. Like, for the most part, those main cards retain their value, so that was my biggest fear going into this, is not having rulers would make the boxes themselves drop in value, which, I mean, it's at $78 on TCG Player, which is lower than average, I feel like, for some booster boxes, but I think those secrets and stuff like Look of Corruption and stuff like that really help the box
I like
out.
a lot the point that was made by Jeff, too, where he said the basic cards, non-full art stuff, should be cheap and affordable to players, which it is.
Yeah.
But then once it goes to full arts, he's not too concerned. Like, there's your secondary market on your full arts.
Yes.
You want to bring your deck out, go pay that $20 for that card. Then it's fine.
I like that.
Yeah.
I want my full arts to be expensive. I don't want like like looking back now at New Dawn Rises, for example, Adam full art is like 25-50 cents now or something like that. I don't like that. I don't know what you can necessarily do to fix that other than make the cards not bad, but I love when, like, bleeding out your deck has meaning. It's not like, oh, I dropped $6 and now my deck is full art. So, and especially if it's stuff like secret rares or Ubers and stuff like that, that really means something.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to touch on, which I thought was actually really important, going into that whole like secret rares and Ubers and stuff, and I struggled to remember who was the person we had on the podcast who was saying that the SRs and the rares and the commons and uncommons were all kind of printed at the same, were all kind of had the same rarity.
Are you talking about Josh Patton, where uncommons are technically the most rare?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jeff, I thought that when Jeff said that, Jeff said basically the same thing that I thought Josh was pointing out, that that he wants cards to be accessible within 3 to 4 boxes. And the way I took that was that kind of confirmed to me what Josh had told us earlier, that the secret rares or the super rares.
Yeah, super rare.
The super rares and the rares and the old uncommons and commons were all kind of maybe around the same rarity. I know Josh had better numbers for it when we talked to him, but I thought that was super interesting. Huh?
Which is on his channel. I believe he has a video talking about that as well.
Exactly.
Over on Team Rogue.
And so that to me when Rudy asked that and when Jeff said like, hey, like we want all the card. We want you to be able to get a collection of every card within 3 to 4 booster boxes, is what he said. And then they want the actual some of the actual value to be in those secret rares and Uber rares and stuff like that. And that's where that whole conversation came into play. But I thought that was really interesting. Kind of confirming what Josh had told us way earlier.
I still find that rares are rare though, because like. Look at Corruption, when you open it, it was like 1 per box, and if you got the full art, then you got a bonus pull, and you got 2 per box. But
yeah, if you got a full art Look at Corruption, you're like I just said, that's the most expensive card, with the exception of the secret rares in the box. So you're set.
Yeah. And I mean,
did I pull for it?
And I mean, it's still good that way, because the better cards, better power level cards are still going to hold the most value. That's just what's gonna that's just what happens. So there's still chase cards and stuff. And
case in point is Look of Corruption, which I think is too strong, and I think Jeff even hinted at he thinks it's a little bit too strong. Especially Thought Control, people were debating whether that is too strong, and so it's an overpowered card, but it's a lot of money on the secondary market, and is probably one of the main reasons NDR isn't dropped down to the $70 mark, for example, is because of it. And granted, I think you could make a similar power level card without being overpowered. Just target something that's not saturated. Discarding cards in someone's hand is a saturated market. You don't need to make more strong versions of it. There's other stuff like Life Gain, which I think actually they covered pretty well. But you could make pretty strong cards that would be those same money cards.
Yeah,
not Life Gain only. It does another effect, but that's the first thing that came to head.
I think Rudy touched on that too, which I thought was really interesting when he talked about how tight Force of Will's print runs were, and how they probably aren't going to be doing second print runs. Like he was saying that in 4 to 5 years, nobody's sitting on sealed boxes of some of the older sets. So some of the value that it could just start jumping up in price and stuff.
Well, that's true. NDR, for example, like I said, is 78, and over time, the value of it, especially say NDR rotates, so all the cards, especially the corruption stuff, are rotating, so the box is going to go down in value. But over the next year or 2 years, whatever, that the card is in set, it's selling boxes. People are still buying boxes, and they're not printing more. So the rarity is going to go up. And so because of that, the box will at minimum most likely maintain its price. Mm-hmm. Maybe the price would even go up, but I don't think the price is going to go down at any point, because the limited print run is going to offset any losses of individual card value, right. Which I think is really good.
Especially if there are if Wanderer starts getting bigger and Force Will starts getting bigger, then the big Wanderer staple cards like I remember looking at Shadows of Innistrad, I think, has Snapcaster Mage, and Snapcaster Mage is obviously a staple in Modern now. It was, and so I think boxes for that and booster. I think the LGS I was going to was selling booster packs for $10 or something, or $11 because it had Cavern of Souls and Snapcaster Mage, and there are all these modern playable cards. And so an actual box of Innistrad goes for $140 or something crazy like that. So because of the way they will not be reprinting these, if something is Wanderer playable in something like New Dawn Rises and they don't print more, then 5-6 years down the line, it's just gonna be getting up there and up there. Just there's a ton of old Magic sets that are very pricey as well.
You ever think this, for example, the CEO of Magic was like, man, I really want to buy a new car. I'm just going to go down to the printer and have them print me a Black Lotus real quick, and I'll sell it on eBay.
No.
Or the printer's like, you know what, I'm going to pull up those old schematics of Black Lotus and print out a PS10 or whatever it is.
Even Rudy is probably a perfect example of that. They've memorized the patterns and all the printing on how to evaluate those Black Lotuses. You couldn't get away with it anymore.
Yeah. You don't think so? I think if you really tried.
I think they probably might have actual cards that actually came out of that. The CEO of Magic probably has a Black Lotus that he's never sold, but it's probably an actual legitimate Black Lotus.
I'd be upset if he didn't.
Not something that he printed out for himself to get.
Speaking of a CEO wanting money for a car, that was a point brought up about what was the recent set that we saw that was only sold through Hasbro's website, and it was a half of a box of 2 different boxes plus that little pack that had all these essentially lotto cards, the way he kept calling it in the video with Rudy.
I thought you were going to bring up when Force of Will was going to give people a car in Las Vegas and then ditch that. I was like, they didn't talk about that. Very good.
That's a good point. But no, they instead of putting them in the sets that are leading up to it, they just decided to sell them separately for a whole bunch more money,
Yeah.
Yeah, the CEO probably wanted a car.
Yeah, that's about all I
He's like, man, I didn't win in Force of Will's event, so I need
I think
a car.
that wraps it up.
Yeah.
I mean, we're right around
That's
that
perfect.
55-minute mark anyways, so...
yeah. The last thing I wanted to bring up is that at the end of the video, he says, man, I'm all in on Force of Will, so... I think he said that last time, too, but,
Yeah.
Well,
definitely
he probably was holding out as soon as he started communication with the company. He was like, I'm going to wait, and then I'm going to just go all in.
Yeah.
Not all in.
I guess real quick before you wrap it up is I couldn't believe how much product he still had behind him, of how much he had actually sold. I mean, I know it's only a single layer, but he still had stacks of boxes.
Unless he recently got that for new packages on Patreon. He's like, I'm selling semi-new stuff for that $200 where you get 30 booster packs. That'd be super cool. It's I have a bunch of TSW boxes. It's super weird.
We'll wrap it up here. And we'll go to the Patreon podcast where we talk about those boxes behind Colin.
And we'll also go over our favorite cards from pre-release as well in the Patreon podcast.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, so we'll see you guys. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.